Nobody expects anything like this to happen, let alone the attention that it's gotten. It's very surreal.
Can you tell us a little bit about your daughter?
In the summer of 2021, a young couple set out on a journey that many only dream of: an open road, endless horizons, and a life documented through the lens of social media. But what began as a story of love and adventure would soon unravel into a tragedy that captured the attention of millions across the world. At the center of this story were Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Gabby Petito was 22 years old, full of energy, creativity, and ambition. She dreamed of becoming a successful travel content creator, sharing her experiences with the world. Alongside her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, she embarked on a cross-country van life journey across the United States. Together, they converted a small white van into a home, planning to visit national parks, document their travels, and inspire others to follow a similar path. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. Their social media posts showed breathtaking landscapes, smiling faces, and a carefree lifestyle. From Utah's Red Rock deserts to the scenic beauty of Wyoming, Gabby's content painted a picture of happiness and freedom. But behind the carefully edited videos and photos, something darker was unfolding, something no one watching could truly see. In August 2021, a police body cam video captured an interaction between the couple after a reported domestic disturbance. Gabby appeared distressed, emotional, and overwhelmed, while Brian remained relatively calm. At the time, the incident did not result in any major legal action, but in hindsight, many would later view this moment as a warning sign, a glimpse into a troubled relationship hidden beneath a polished exterior. Days later, Gabby's communication with her family became sporadic, then stopped entirely. Her parents grew increasingly worried. Text messages seemed unusual, calls went unanswered, and the vibrant young woman who once shared every moment of her journey had suddenly gone silent. On September 11, 2021, Gabby Petito was officially reported missing. As the search began, a shocking development emerged. Brian Laundrie had already returned to his family home in Florida, alone. He did not report Gabby missing. He did not speak publicly. Instead, he remained silent, hiring an attorney and refusing to cooperate with investigators. Within days, Brian himself disappeared, turning the case into a nationwide mystery involving two missing individuals, one presumed victim, the other a person of interest. The story exploded across social media platforms like TikTok, where users analyzed every detail: videos, timestamps, body language, and locations. Amateur investigators joined the search, sharing theories and clues. Never before had a case unfolded so publicly, with millions watching and participating in real time. Then came a crucial breakthrough. A travel vlogger reviewing her own footage discovered something significant: a white van parked in a remote area near Grand Teton National Park. The van matched the one Gabby and Brian had been traveling in. Authorities quickly moved to the location. On September 19, 2021, the search came to a devastating end. Gabby Petito's remains were found. The news sent shockwaves across the globe. The young woman whose life had seemed so full of promise was gone. An autopsy later confirmed that her death was a homicide, marking a tragic conclusion to the search, but raising even more questions. Attention quickly shifted to Brian Laundrie. A massive manhunt began, focusing on the dense and unforgiving terrain of Florida's nature reserves. Weeks passed with no sign of him. The public speculated endlessly. Had he escaped? Was he hiding? Or was something else at play?
The FBI conducting a relentless search for Brian Laundrie, the boyfriend of Gabby Petito. He's now infamous. Laundrie wanted on a federal arrest warrant and was last seen nearly 2 weeks ago when he left his home in Florida to go hiking and never returned. He is a person of interest in the death of his girlfriend, Gabby Petito, whose body was found at a campground in Wyoming 1 week ago. And Tracy FBI returned to the Laundrie family's home in Northport, Florida, to remove some of Brian's things that have DNA on them, we've been told. Some type of DNA testing will be executed. What will those items be used for? I mean, what is your gut telling you? Because obviously, you know, you've done this.
So my gut would tell me, doing things like this in the past, is that those items, particularly those with Brian's DNA on it, would be used probably to compare against Gabby Petito's body.
Then, in October, the search for Brian Laundrie reached a grim turning point. In a previously flooded section of a nature reserve in Florida, investigators uncovered human remains. The area had only recently become accessible after water levels receded, revealing what had been hidden for weeks. Dental records were used to confirm the identity. It was Brian Laundrie, the man at the center of one of the most widely followed cases in recent history, was no longer a mystery to be solved. He was gone. Near the remains, authorities discovered a notebook. Inside, according to investigators, Brian admitted responsibility for the death of Gabby Petito. With that, the case was officially closed. But closure, in this story, did not bring peace. Instead, it left behind a heavy, haunting silence, one filled with unanswered questions, emotional weight, and a lingering sense of disbelief. For weeks, the world had followed every development in real time, hoping for answers, hoping for justice, hoping for a different ending. But what they received was a conclusion that felt as tragic as it was incomplete. How does something like this happen? How does a relationship that appears so full of love, adventure, and promise slowly unravel into something violent and irreversible? These are the questions that continue to echo long after the headlines have faded. To the outside world, Gabby and Brian seemed to be living a dream. They were young, free, and traveling across the country in a van, documenting their journey through carefully curated posts and videos. Their life looked like an escape from reality, a perfect blend of love, exploration, and endless possibility. Millions watched, admired, and even envied what appeared to be a flawless relationship. But what people saw was only a fraction of the truth. Social media, by its very nature, captures highlights, not hardships. It presents moments, not the full story. Behind the smiles, behind the scenic backdrops, there can be tension, conflict, and pain that never makes it to the screen. And in this case, that hidden reality turned deadly. One of the most disturbing aspects of this story is that the warning signs may have been there, but they were either missed, misunderstood, or simply not taken seriously enough. Emotional distress, imbalance in the relationship, moments of visible tension, these are often subtle, easy to dismiss, and difficult to interpret from the outside. But they matter. Gabby's story forced millions of people to confront an uncomfortable truth. Not everything is as it seems. A life that looks perfect online can hide struggles that are deeply personal and, at times, dangerously real. It also sparked a broader and much-needed conversation about domestic violence. Experts began to point out the patterns: control, emotional strain, isolation, and escalation. These are not always obvious, and they don't always appear in ways that are easy to recognize. But understanding them can be the difference between intervention and tragedy. For many, this case became more than just a news story. It became a wake-up call. In the aftermath, Gabby Petito's family made a powerful decision. Rather than allowing her story to fade into memory, they chose to turn their grief into purpose. They began advocating for victims of domestic violence, raising awareness, and pushing for better education and resources, so that others might be helped before it's too late. Through their efforts, Gabby's name continues to live on, not just as a victim, but as a symbol of change, awareness, and the importance of speaking up. Still, the questions remain. What if someone had stepped in sooner? What if the signs had been recognized for what they were? What if one moment, just one, had gone differently? These questions may never have clear answers, and that is what makes this story so haunting. Because at its core, this is not just a case about crime. A road trip that once symbolized freedom became a chilling reminder of how quickly things can change. And ultimately, it became a story defined not by the miles traveled, but by the silence that followed. A road trip that ended in silence,